go.
Hey there, Dustin Harris, the Appraiser Coach. The purpose of this video is to show you a little bit about mobile appraising. By mobile appraising, I'm talking about using an iPad or other tablet in the field to gather all your information for an appraisal. I'm also going to be balancing out between that and a laser measure, as you can see on the back here. In fact, let me just show you this really quick. This is something you can actually get off of Amazon, and what I'm talking about is this plastic case right here. So I'm able to actually just, as you can see, Velcro that disto laser measure onto this, so I can actually take this off, take it to meetings, that kind of a thing. When I'm ready to do appraisals, it snaps on that easy, and we're ready to go. So I'm going to be carrying this with me, showing you a little bit about that, and then I also carry a camera with me as well, so that I can actually take the pictures with a decent camera, and then I will transfer those over later. You can take pictures with the iPad 3, and it works just fine. It does not have a flash. Now, there's lots of tablets that do. What you use is up to you. Any tablet works as long as it runs either Android or a Windows-based system, or if it runs obviously the Apple software. Now you got to be careful because there's two different softwares out there. There's Phoenix Mobile, and so far Phoenix Mobile will run off of Android and off of the iPad, but not the Windows-based systems yet. As far as I know, all of Mode will run off of all three. So just be careful what you buy for the type that you're going to be using, the type of software. Today I'm going to be using Phoenix Mobile. The inspection that I'm going to show you can actually be used for both the a la mode or the Phoenix Mobile software. I'm not going to get into the details as to how to use the software. I'm just going to show you how to do an inspection using the tablet. The details as to how to do a sketch and how to put the photos in particular, either for a la mode or Phoenix Mobile, you'll need to look on their website, alamode.com or phoenixsuite.com, and there's lots of tutorials on there that can show you a lot better than I can in the field. So I'm just going to give you a basic overview as to how to do the appraisal process using mobile tools. So the first thing I do is get out of my car and I take a picture of the street going both ways. Again, I'm using my camera. I've got the street going both ways. Then I'm going to take a picture of the front of the house. This is our subject here. And then while I'm out here, I might just take a picture of the side of the house as well. I usually like to get all four sides in my pictures. And that way, if the lender calls for it, he calls for it. If he doesn't, that's no big deal. Now, you can start anywhere on the house doing the sketch. I suggest that you start right where the garage and the house meets if it's an attached garage. The reason for that is, depending on the software, it's really hard sometimes to separate the different areas. And so if you start where the two areas combine, it's actually easier when you get done. Again, you can start anywhere you want. For me, that's what I like to do. So what I'm going to do is start right here where you can see the garage and the house come together. So what I do, you'll notice I slip my camera into my pocket. Okay, now my hands are free. I can use the iPad. I'm going to line up here against the house, and then I'm going to shoot over to there. Now you might see that red dot over there. That's the laser. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, and all I need to do is just click that, and it tells me exactly how far that is. Now, obviously we're not going to go 16.46. Maybe some of you do. I'm going to round to ANSI standards, which would be the nearest half foot. So I'm going to call that 16.5. All I have to do now is flip this over and pull up Phoenix Mobile, and I've already built the report at the office and synced it up through the cloud to the appraisal, to the tablet that I'm using. You can actually create the file in the tablet as well in the field. You don't have to do it back at the office. But for this particular inspection, I already knew I was coming out here. I had it built by my office staff at the office. They uploaded it to the Phoenix Cloud. And then I downloaded it to the tablet. So it's all here ready to go. So I've got it open here on my tablet. Again, I'm not going to show you the details on the tablet. Just know that now I can click on the sketcher and pull up the sketcher. All I have to do is define the area, and we're going to start drawing. Okay, so I've got the 16.5, and I'm going to swipe down and then hit return, and then I've already got my first leg of the house. Then I turn this over again, and I'm going to go to the next leg. Okay, again, I just point the laser over here to the corner, I click it, and I know that it's just slightly over 9 feet. Now I'm going to call that 9 feet even, and then just even it off. You just continue around the house like so. Line up against the wall, click that, that's going to be 3.5. You just continue around. Now the nice thing about the laser measure, where you don't have an got this prickly bush that I don't really want to get stuck by, okay? If I had a wheel or a tape, I would kind of have to just do this whole thing and get back in here, which is not very convenient. The nice thing about the laser measure is I can actually stand here and I can shoot this direction and know what I'm going to hit, which is that pole there. Now, some are saying, well, that's not the wall. Just pay attention. I click that, okay, and I've got 12, a little over 12 feet. Okay, now what I do is come around here where there's no bushes. I'm going to line up to this wall, but before I do, I'm going to hit the minus sign. Okay, so it's going to subtract out. I'm going to hit the same spot I hit before. Then I'm going to hit equals. What I've got is 7.5 feet. So I know that this wall is 7.5 feet. Now the other way I could have done that was bounce off the edge of this, which is possible. It just was a little more easy to do to hit the opposite post in this particular one. So I'm going to flip this over here, hit 7.5 and bring it over, and so far we're building around the house. This one I can tell is the same length as the other. I'm not going to bother measuring it, so I know that's 3.5. I'll just bring that over. So 3.5. And then the last leg of the house here, again, you've got the laser down there at the other end, and that's what I'm looking for, as you can see down in the wheel a little bit. Some days it's harder to find that than others, especially if you're on white vinyl siding and the sun's really bright. But today it's pretty easy to see. I know that I'm there. I click that. I've got 9.5 feet. Again, slightly over, but that could just be how far back or forth that I've moved the laser measure. I'm going to ANSI standard, so I'm just going to round off to the nearest half foot. Now, down this other side is going to be quite easy. That's a long length, but the nice thing is there's a fence down there. Now I can just trust the fence there, and I can just kind of point the general direction and hit it. But here's a trick. You can see on the back of this disto, there's what's called a target finder, or a spotting scope. I use this all the time. It's very, very much worth getting the disto that has either this or has a digital screen. Mine doesn't have a digital screen. But if you get one of the two of those, they're going to cost you some money. They're well worth getting. You can get some cheaper laser measures at Lowe's or at Home Depot. Trust me, that right there is worth the extra $100 that you're going to pay for a disto, okay? As well as some other things. So I line this up here. By the way, I use my iPad as actually a balance for the other side, because sometimes it's kind of hard to hold this out there and actually get it straight. I actually put that right up against the house. It's protected by that plastic covering that I just showed you, so I'm not going to worry about scratching it up, although you can see I've scratched mine up pretty good by dropping it. That's not a good idea. Still works just fine. But I'm going to put that right up against the house. I'm going to actually look into the spotting scope. I'm going to click on that, and I can see that red dot down there on the end of that fence. Now you probably can't in the camera because it's bright and the sun's shining, but I can see it just fine in this spotting scope. So I hit that puppy, and of course the disto sees it just fine, just a little over 39 feet. Okay, so I'm going to call that 39 feet even. 39 feet, swipe it up, and now I'm starting to draw out this this particular house. Now, what I need to do now is go to the back end and see. I assume that it just cuts straight across on the back end. I could be wrong, but that's what we're going to check out. On my way, I can actually measure the garage, so I'm not wasting time and walking back and forth. This is where we started earlier. Now what I can do is actually jump the cursor from this back side where I am over to the front side where we started. So now my cursor is sitting right where I started. Again, I'm going to use this to balance me, the actual iPad itself. I'm going to use the spotting scope, though it may not be needed. Well, it's not going to be needed right there because I can see that very, very clear. And I click on that, and notice that it is 10.5 feet wide on the garage. So now I'm going to start drawing the garage without even defining the other area. You can do that, and then we're going to define them later. So let's go into the backyard here. We've got a shed back here that I'll need to measure off as well. And sure enough, just like I thought, this is straight across, okay? So I'm going to come clear back with the garage because I know it comes clear back to the end. Go back to where that 39 feet was. I'm going to click over, close those areas. I'm going to quickly define this first area that we measured as the first floor, which is very easy to do. The second area, I'm going to select it, modify it, and click that it is a garage area. Okay, so now I've got my first floor, my garage all measured off, very, very easy.